Yeah, it's kind of late here, but I just wanted to respond to a comment about whether or not Barack Obama will get the black vote. Uh, One person suggested that the African American experience in America is monolithic, but I'd like to respond to that by saying that it's not. Although the term itself is, the experience is not monolithic, but the term African American is. When we meet someone with an Ivory Coast accent or who says their parents migrated from Africa, we immediately label them as African, not African American. The same thing occurs when we meet someone with high cheekbones, deep ebony skin, and a prominent forehead, African. When presented with someone who has family in Jamaica or Trinidad and Tobago, someone who has an inherent love of reggae music because of the way they were raised, we identify them as Caribbean. When we come across someone who traces their family back to South Carolina and cannot identify roots in any place but South Carolina, we call them African American. We call these people with a culture of soul food, of gospel and rhythm and blues, a certain unique fortitude for life and the gifts that it endows. We call these people African American. The term also denotes a struggle of 400 years, a culture that still writhes against the chains of mental slavery. Because of the hundreds of years of oppression and psychological games, this culture still seemingly involuntarily, this culture still seemingly involuntarily perpetuates the cyclical problems of broken families, poverty, and drug abuse, among other things. None of this is really attributed to Africans, Caribbeans, or any other people of color. We call these things, good and bad, a portrait of the African American culture. That being said, Barack Obama will struggle with this particular demographic. There is an almost integrated resentment among a large portion of that general African American population towards Barack Obama. By the way, it's not the most absurd assumption to think that black people will vote for a black candidate just because he is black. The problem with Obama, as voiced by some in the community, is that he is not fully a part of the black experience and those who have lived it, in part because of his mixed heritage and the locations in which he was raised. If I had to pinpoint the epicenter of resistance, I would say the black people have been used to seeing their most successful leaders come from the civil rights movement and other situations where the person comes to prominence because of a race-related issue. This is a tough stigma Obama will have to deal with. He is the first black candidate of a new school. He said in his speech in 2004 at the Democratic National Convention that this is not a black America and white America and Latino America and Asian America. It's the United States of America, the cohesive coming together of the states of America. If American citizens as a whole can release the chains of unforgiveness and bitterness without having to let go of their special interests, then I think together, no matter how corny it sounds, that we can be ushered into a new era in this country, and an era, to borrow a word from Barack Obama, an era of hope.